my brother's falling. I hear heaven calling. The devil won't let me be. The flag is burning, but the world keeps turning. And when I die, I'll die free. Lord have mercy.
How is everyone doing? Thank you for watching the channel. If you like, then please subscribe. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I find it really hard to get excited about new talent. I feel like there isn't enough out there. There's a lot, but it's all quite mediocre. So when I discovered the guy that I'm getting on the show now, he completely blew me away. He has it all going on. A distinctive, incredibly unique voice. He's a killer guitar player, and he can write the most amazing songs I've ever heard. What a lyricist. As Nuno Betancourt said when he was on one of my previous episodes, he's got a tasty soup going on. So please welcome to Life in Six Strings, Ayron Jones. So Ayron, welcome to Life in Six Strings. How's everything?
Oh, it's going good. As good as could be during this time period. You know, I can't complain.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I like to start at the beginning. Like, when did this love affair with music start for you?
Oh, my whole life, man. I remember being told stories as a little kid about me dancing to James Brown and a bunch of these Motown, Michael Jackson, these Motown records as a little kid, man. So it's been a lifelong obsession for me.
And I was saying in my intro that you are one of the lucky ones, or you are gifted because you have all three. You've got this incredible distinctive voice. You can play the guitar like a demon, and you can also write good songs.
Yeah, I was blessed with that, man. I as soon as I could express myself on an instrument, I was writing songs, and that was the first. I didn't really want to cover a lot of different music, but I wanted to write music, and so I was gifted with the ability to do so. Yeah.
So how old were you when you started?
Oh, I was probably writing songs in elementary school before I could pick up an instrument. So I'd probably say 7 or 8 years old when I first started writing music.
That is nuts. And do you have any of those songs still?
No, not around. No. I probably, if I went to my auntie's house, I probably could find some, but no, I don't have anything just like lying around right now. I wish. That'd be tight. That'd be
that would be cool. You'd be like Mozart, who wrote like Happy Birthday when he was like 5 or something.
I know, write a whole symphony for somebody,
Yeah, that would be cool. So when did the guitar come into the picture, or was it the guitar or the vote? What was the first thing that you sort of drew?
Well, the guitar was first, and I was at age 13 when I picked up the guitar. I saw a buddy playing it, and I just got obsessed with it, man. And I was playing a little bit of violin before that, but I sucked at violin. I was terrible. I was awful at violin. But I picked up the guitar, and at 13, and it just became my obsession, and I was doing everything I could to play and be on the stage. So by the time I was 17, 18, I was in open mics, coffee shops, and wherever I could legally go here in the States. And then by the time I turned 21, I jumped into the blues jams, and thus the Kid was born. It's my nickname. They call me the Kid because I was always the youngest guy on the stage at the blues jams, probably getting yelled at for doing something I shouldn't be doing. Playing over somebody or something, So, but yeah, that's been my obsession. I mean, guitar has been an obsession since 13 years old, man.
How did you learn?
I taught myself, just listening to different stuff and emulating what I heard, Yeah. I didn't have any formal lessons or anything like that. And there was no YouTube when I was coming up. So, it was just, It was old school. Listen to the record, listen to the song over and over and over again until you figure it out,
Oh my God, man. I take my hat off to you guys that learned that way. I mean, we're so lucky now, the ones that pick up the guitar, because you've got YouTube. I can do Zoom lessons with my guitar teacher, and There's no excuse now. I mean, you guys had it tough.
Oh man, it was definitely a little tougher, but it was cool though. It was cool because when you did it that way, you didn't exactly learn it the way that the person you're listening to played it, you know. So you kind of come up with your own different way of playing something, you know, which happens naturally anyways. But I think that that's more of a natural occurrence when you can't see, you can't visually figure out what they're doing, you know. So that was the upside to it.
So what was I guess, the artist or guitarist that kind of really changed your life?
The guitarist. I think watching Stevie Ray Vaughan is what really changed my life. But then, you know, then I just went down this rabbit hole of guitar players, and it was like, it was Jimmy, it was Yngwie, it was Steve Vai. You know, I remember listening to Boy from Seattle, like, 'cause I remember seeing Seattle. Like Steve Vai played Boy from Seattle, and just blew my mind. And you know, I was like, it was watching the movie Crossroads. It was all of it. You know, I mean, that became my obsession. I listened. I mean, I went deep. I mean, I remember listening to Lonnie Mack because I was watching something about Stevie Ray Vaughan and going and diving into Lonnie Mack, who's like more of a country guitar player. You know, so. But I think Stevie Ray Vaughan was the first introduction, man. It was that I mean, a lot of guitar players say this, right? Austin City Limits was that time that they saw Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it was it. And that was it. They got to play guitar, you know.
Yeah, they were finished. It's funny because I had Nuno Betancourt on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, I mean, every guitarist pretty much cites the same guitarist. It's all Stevie, Jimmy, Jeff, you know, Clapton, all of them. But then you take all of that and you put it into your own soup, and then out of that mixture comes your sound.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, you grew up in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily known for the blues, obviously famous for grunge. I mean, how much of an influence on you was it growing up around Seattle, and what was it like?
It was huge. I mean, it was a huge influence. I mean, you know, I'm growing up in the '90s during the peak of the grunge era. You know, you were a kid in school, and that was, I mean, there was no way you walked around the city and didn't hear grunge. You know, it was impossible. You know, but also, you know, so something interesting you just said is that Seattle is not known for the blues, which it isn't. This is very true. But there is a huge blues and jazz legacy that Seattle has that I don't think a lot of people are quite as aware of.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah. Quincy, well, so the Jackson Street Jazz is like a thing in Seattle. We're on a street called Jackson. Up and down that street was all jazz and blues clubs. So you had artists, you know, like Fats Domino would come tour. Quincy Jones came from that scene. So did Ray Charles. Ray Charles came to Seattle and built his chops in Seattle on the blues and jazz scene here. So even though it's not widely known, that fact's not widely known, it definitely had an impact. I think even on Jimmy and some of the grunge guys, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, back to what I was saying about grunge though, you know, you couldn't walk down the street. I mean, it was impossible. So, you know, coming from the inner city neighborhoods, black community where I went to, you know, the Pentecostal church every Sunday, it was like that. It was natural that those things were influential to me, and all these sounds came together and created what ultimately ended up being what's my forthcoming album, you know.
Have you got a title for the album yet?
I do. I can't share it yet, though. Not yet. We're getting closer. We're getting close to announcing dates and stuff. We're not quite there yet, though.
It's your debut, right? I mean, I know you had an EP out when you had you and your band, and then you guys split up, and then now you're a solo artist.
Yeah, it's my debut major label album. So I was an indie. I had a couple indie records out produced by Sir Mix-a-Lot, and then one produced by Barrett Martin before now, and then yeah, this is my first major label record, so which is really cool.
And it's on Universal, isn't it? It's John Vivazos.
Yes.
Which I always kind of think to myself, what a cool label to be signed for, because you're going to be a new artist that looks shit hot the whole time.
Oh my God, yeah, I got sent so close.
Yeah.
I got sent some clothes and I was freaking, man. I was like, it was crazy. I got to send a bunch of clothes. John was like, you know, we need to, because you know, I've been wearing this filthy hat for a long time, man. He goes, you know, I love the filthy hat, man, but we gotta up your look, up your fit, you know. So he sends over all this stuff, and I'm just like geek, and I do all fashion show. I'm looking at myself in the mirror like, woo, little butt slap and spin around, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty cool to me. I mean, what's it like to be signed to them?
Yeah, it's cool, man. So I'm signed to Big Machine, John Barbados Records, and
Yeah.
you know the Big Machine side definitely is overseen by Scott Borchetta, who kind of oversees the whole thing, and then
Mhm.
the John Barbados side obviously overseen by John Barbados, and it's been amazing. I mean, it's been awesome. They've allowed me some room to still grow, even though I've been in the game for a long time. I'm in a new level of the game, and so they've allowed me some room to grow. Also, helping me along as I'm kind of navigating these new waters, and I couldn't be happier with everything how everything's been going. Yeah.
And so the new album, where did you record that in Seattle?
It was actually recorded in Seattle, in Nashville, and LA. So I recorded all over the place. But I wanted to make sure that the brunt of it was done here in Seattle because I thought it was just really important for that sound to come back into the forefront of the mainstream, you know?
Yeah, sure. And so I know that you've been very, I mean, for me, like, because I've started on this new music journey. In April, I started learning how to play the guitar. And I feel like we've all been through the worst year ever, and music has really saved me this year. Like
Mm.
the guitar has definitely saved me. How has there been, because I know you've been very open about your background and stuff and what you went through as a child. How much has there been? Do you feel like music has saved you in that sense? Is that kind of, was that your go-to thing to get away from everything else that was going on around you?
Definitely, it's always in my saving grace, right? Like even from birth on, but definitely in this time period is definitely helped me keep my sanity, so to speak, and that even though everything is shut down, I had this ability to go and travel and finish this record. As scary as that was, and that even just being able to do that it kept my wits about me, and just kind of, and working on music, being in the studio, trying to grind and keeping me distracted from the things that are going on in the world, and finding a place to really talk about it and have an outlet to speak about the frustrations and what's going on. I mean, that was so important to me. So as always, music has been my saving grace in this time period. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So can you remember your first guitar?
Oh man, yeah, I can. So my first electric was the, the Strat Pack, man. That's what they used to call it back in the day. It was called the Strat Pack, or the Squire Stratocaster with like the Champ, little Fender Champ solid state amp.
Yeah.
That was my first electric, and my first acoustic actually came from this gangster who lived up the street from me. Yeah, I told you I grew up in the inner city, man. So all the so yeah, I grew up. There was a gangster that lived up the street from me. His uncle had a guitar, and I used to go to his house all the time, man. In fact, when I was a kid, I started this dog walking business, and he was like, I would walk this guy's pit bull, which was insane because the pit bull was bigger than me, and he would just dragging you down the street. Wait. But yeah, so anyways, he gave me my first guitar, man. It was this old beat up acoustic, and yeah, because I kept going to his house, I kept playing it, man. And one day he says to me, he says, man, I've had that for years, and I can't really do anything with it. And he goes, see what you can do, and just gives it to me. And I remember just like, it was over for me, man. That was my obsession.
That's amazing. I was watching you play, and some guitarists, you could see them kind of fighting with the guitar in a good way. But
Yeah.
it just looks so bloody natural. Like it's just part of you. It's just, yeah.
That's the self-taught aspect, you know what I mean? Like that kind of helps a lot when you're not thinking about the, how everything needs to be put in its place, the structure of what you're doing, and you're just kind of freely letting it flow from you. That really helps, man. And I think being a self-taught guitar player really lends to that, where it's like I'm not thinking about so much the name of the scale or the chord. I'm just thinking about what feels good right here in this moment and what's going to get the point across.
So what did you struggle with when you were learning?
Man, what did I struggle with? I think scales was probably it. I mean, even still, I don't think about scales as much, but yeah, scales is probably the thing I struggle with the most. I remember first playing a bar chord was really tough.
Oh, yeah. Got
first,
two recently bar chords, and I was like, this makes me want to give it up.
yeah,
And I just was like,
so,
screw that. I mean, bar chords can wait.
yeah, so the bar chord was like the hardest thing for me until I got my first electric, which helped me. And I remember playing. You remember what's that song? That was
Yeah.
the first thing I played on an acoustic when I graduated. It. I Want to Get Away by, or not acoustic, an electric. I
Yeah.
Want to Get
Lenny
Away
Kravitz.
by Lenny Kravitz. That's right, man. That was the first bar chord I ever played. So that I struggled with that too. But that was pretty much it. Because I played violin, I'd already had kind of some familiarity with plucking the instruments and fingering, the fingerboard and the strings and all that. So that was helpful, but yeah, I mean, there was definitely, that was hard. I think for me, the hardest part was learning how to sing, you know, and do it correctly and do it within a unique place for me. That was the toughest part for sure.
How did you learn that? How did you master it?
I just fucked up a bunch. You know, no,
Yeah,
I was,
right, isn't it?
yeah, I was on stage. No, I just playing a bunch, man. I was in Seattle. I was known for playing just about every single day. I played in the acoustic. You know, I was playing in the corner of the cafe, playing the acoustic show. I was the guy at the you know, the dive bar, playing with my three-piece band, Ayron Jones, in the way for a 3-hour, you know, time slot. I would just play as much as possible, sing as much as possible. And I think touring was what really brought that up, you know, which was like I had to, you know, when I went on my first really big tour, which was back in 2000. Oh, actually, no, it was like 2017, and I went on a big tour with Theory of a Dead Man, and we were gone for about 30 or so dates. And you know, you're singing 5 nights a week, and there's no way. I mean, you're not going to do that if you're shredding your voice every night. So you have to really learn how to sing and do it correctly. So I think that really helped too. But you know, for me, singing is always kind of a work in progress, which I like. You know, which is always me trying to find different sounds and ways to use my voice. You know.
And so, so is it true? You see, did you play with BB King before?
Yeah, I did. I actually, a picture just came up today. Let me see if I can find it here. I had just had a photo come up today that reminded me of that. And yeah, I opened for BB King back in 2014, kind of, which was bittersweet because he was on his way out. It felt
Yeah.
like he was on his last leg when it came to his life. But he was still touring. I mean, it was the thing he loved to do the most. And here it is, right here. There's a picture of me and BB.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
What
so
an
we got,
experience for you.
yeah.
Were you a fan of his music?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's impossible to be a guitar player, consider yourself a guitar player at that time and not be a
Yeah.
fan. You know, like the cat. When you think about the solo guitar player, he was it, man. You know, he wasn't so much so that he didn't play chords. You know, he didn't really know how to play chords at all. Like he couldn't really. He was like, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I do. You
Nuts.
know, so yeah, yeah. So it was a blessing.
Did he give you any advice?
No, he didn't say anything like that. But it did feel like I was talking to my grandpa, and it felt like I'd known him for years. You know, one of the sweetest souls I think that you can come in contact with because he was just happy, man. He would just he did what he loved to do, and even at that age, I mean, he was in his mid to late 90s, I think, even in that picture, and you know, he was still playing, man. It was insane. It was bittersweet, you know, because I got to see, you know, someone I'd been wanting to see my whole life, but at the same time, you could tell he didn't have all his mental faculties with him. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it was beautiful and also painful at the same time. And then I think 2 days later, they pulled him off the tour, and then he passed away slowly after that. So yeah,
Oh no. Well,
yeah.
it's incredible that you got to meet him and, play in front of him and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was great.
Very cool. So how many guitars do you own? So what is your weapon of choice?
My weapon of choice. Right now, my weapon of choice. I'm working on some guitars that I have made for me and things like that. But as of right now, my weapon of choice is this Fender American Pro.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a HSS setup. It's got like, I think it's got a C into a D shaped neck. So C up here, D at the towards the body.
Yeah.
And it's got the Shaw buckers at the bridge, single coils. I think they're Allen coils on the mid and the neck, and it's just a beautiful sound, man. I love it. You know, I've been really going towards the humbuckers since I really got heavy into rock and roll, and it's just something about it, man. You can't really. I mean, it's great for blues when you got the single coil. You know, that's awesome, man. But if you're gonna play some rock and roll, you need to really just pump out the tunes, man. So right now, that's my favorite guitar. But I own. Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got about 8 or 9 guitars right now, and I smash it, you know. And in my brain, I was like, I'm not gonna miss that guitar. I was like, I definitely miss that guitar.